On East Grand Boulevard in Detroit. Can you tell me about the history of the homes on East Grand Boulevard?
East Grand Boulevard in Detroit has a rich history, especially in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Many of the homes along the boulevard were built during Detroit's boom period in the early 1900s, when the city was becoming a major industrial center. The area originally attracted wealthy industrialists and business owners who built grand homes there. As Detroit's automotive industry grew, East Grand Boulevard became a desirable address. The architecture in the area reflects this, with large, well-crafted homes in various styles, including Victorian, Colonial Revival, and early 20th century designs. During the mid-20th century, like much of Detroit, the area faced challenges due to suburban migration and economic changes. However, East Grand Boulevard remains a significant part of Detroit's historical landscape. In recent years, efforts have been made to preserve and restore the historic homes, adding new energy to the area. Are there any particular homes or parts of East Grand Boulevard that you're especially interested in?
Just more of the history of the homes and the decline and what the reasons are.
The homes on East Grand Boulevard were once part of an affluent area, attracting wealthy Detroiters, especially as the city became a hub for the auto industry. In the early 1900s, the boulevard was lined with mansions, many built by prominent figures in Detroit's economic and cultural spheres. The area was considered one of the city's most prestigious neighborhoods. However, as the 20th century progressed, the story of East Grand Boulevard mirrors the decline of Detroit itself. The Great Depression, the decline of manufacturing in the latter half of the century, and suburbanization all contributed to the deterioration of areas like East Grand Boulevard. Many wealthy families moved to newer homes in suburban areas as the auto industry faltered and people sought greener pastures outside the city. With this shift, properties along East Grand Boulevard fell into disrepair or were abandoned. The construction of the Chrysler Freeway, Interstate 75, in the 1950s further isolated the area, and it became harder for neighborhoods to retain their former vibrancy. As the city's economic base weakened in the 60s and 70s, many families left, and crime increased. This combination of factors led to neglect, disinvestment, and the eventual deterioration of many of the homes and surrounding areas. In recent years, however, there has been a renewed interest in Detroit's history and a push to revitalize neighborhoods like East Grand Boulevard. Some historic homes have been preserved or renovated, while others are being bought up for restoration. Community-driven efforts, as well as larger redevelopment initiatives, are working to reclaim the area's historical charm, though it's a challenging process due to economic difficulties and lingering issues of blight. The reasons for the decline can be traced to a few key factors. 1. Economic shifts. The rise and fall of the auto industry, along with Detroit's heavy reliance on manufacturing, left the city vulnerable when jobs left or went overseas. 2. Suburbanization. As people moved to the suburbs in the post-World War II era, urban areas like East Grand Boulevard saw a decline in population and investment. 3. Disinvestment. With the loss of wealth and the city's changing demographic, the city struggled to maintain infrastructure and attract new development. 4. Infrastructure and freeway expansion. The building of highways through neighborhoods led to physical and social disconnection, isolating communities and hurting local businesses. Today, there's a lot of attention on revitalizing Detroit's neighborhoods, but the scars of that decline are still visible, especially in areas like East Grand Boulevard. Would you like to know more about any specific part of the history or efforts to restore the area?
Yes.
The restoration efforts on East Grand Boulevard are part of a broader trend in Detroit, where historic preservation is being emphasized to revitalize the city's neighborhoods. Several initiatives focus on saving historic buildings and homes, balancing modern development with the preservation of the city's rich architectural history. In particular, the area around East Grand Boulevard has seen some attention from local preservationists and real estate investors looking to restore and repurpose old homes. Some of the grand mansions have been renovated into multi-unit housing, or in some cases, turned into community centers or event spaces, blending the old with new uses. Additionally, the city's tax incentives and grants for historic properties have helped to make these projects more feasible. The Detroit Historic Districts Commission works to preserve neighborhoods like East Grand Boulevard by overseeing renovation projects and ensuring they meet guidelines for maintaining historical integrity. While the success of these efforts has been mixed due to financial and logistical challenges, the momentum has been growing. Several nonprofits and community organizations are working to get local residents involved in these restoration projects, which not only help preserve the architectural legacy, but also bring a renewed sense of pride to the community. The economic reality of revitalization is tough, though. The city's ongoing battle with blight, a lack of infrastructure investment, and the broader economic struggles of the region continue to complicate these efforts. But some of the homes have seen new life, and smaller scale projects are slowly proving that redevelopment can be done in a way that respects the area's history while offering new opportunities. Do you think the history of these homes could inspire a stronger movement to preserve or restore other parts of Detroit?
Do you think it will?
I do think there's potential for a stronger preservation movement, especially if people start to see how restoration can drive economic growth and community pride. The history of areas like East Grand Boulevard could serve as a powerful reminder of what Detroit was and could be again. If enough people rally behind these efforts, whether through grassroots action or support from local government and developers, it could encourage more projects to restore and preserve other parts of the city. It's a slow process, but the interest in Detroit's history and architecture is definitely growing. What do you think?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of interest.
For sure. There's a lot of potential in that interest. Detroit's history has so much to offer, and as more people recognize that, there's more chance for these neighborhoods to see a comeback. Plus, a lot of younger people are really into urban renewal and historical preservation, which could bring fresh energy to the city. It's exciting to think about how these areas could transform if the right momentum keeps building. Would you like to see more projects focused on historic neighborhoods?
Yes. All right, this is Lafayette and Grand Boulevard, and thank you for watching the video.
Lafayette and Grand Boulevard is an interesting area with a lot of history. It's located just east of downtown Detroit, and it's a key point where several important neighborhoods intersect. The area has seen a lot of changes over the years, especially with the shifts in industry and residential patterns. Lafayette Boulevard itself is a historic street lined with older buildings that date back to the early 20th century. Like many other parts of Detroit, it's gone through a period of decline, but it's also part of the larger trend of renewal and redevelopment happening throughout the city. Some areas near Lafayette and Grand Boulevard have been seeing revitalization, with new businesses opening and historic buildings being restored. There's a mix of residential, commercial, and industrial spaces here, and it's close to key parts of Detroit's past, like the Lafayette Park area, which was one of the first modern urban renewal projects in the 1950s. While there's still work to do, the area has potential, especially given its proximity to downtown and other parts of the city that are being redeveloped. What do you think about this area? Do you see potential for more development here too?
Okay, thank you for watching, everyone. Going to Belle Isle now.